And joining us right now is Fox News national security analyst Katie McFarland. By the way, Katie's going to be speaking at a conference at 7 o'clock tonight at the Library of Congress. It's about America's role in the world. Rand Paul will be there. Rick Lowry's going to be there. I'm going to be there. In fact, I won't be speaking. I'll be listening. I'm not important.
Well, you go and you listen to KT. But KT, if you're going to be in town, pancakes on Larry.
That's right.
Tomorrow morning after the show.
I look forward to seeing you tonight at the Library of Congress,
That's
Katie.
great. Look forward to seeing you too.
Listen, let's talk a minute about. We do want to get to the Navy Yard shooting and your specific take on it, but I don't want to lose time to talk about Syria, because there were developments here over the weekend with regard to Russia and Syria claiming that they've reached an agreement. The fact that this is going to the National Security Council at the UN for verification. Apparently, Syria is now turning over chemical weapons information to Russia. Russia's a major player here, but guess who's criticizing the president's strategy in Syria? Two former defense secretaries. Now, you would expect that, considering they'd probably come from, Rumsfeld, right? Or Obama. No, we're talking about Obama's defense secretaries. Panetta and Gates have both openly criticized what the president is doing right now. Is the president's role here completely vanishing before our eyes?
Yeah, it's the most incredible collapse of superpower status I think I've ever seen, other than the collapse of the Soviet Union. It's happened quickly. Not for those who have seen it coming. You could see all the steps, but it just seems to have happened within a matter of days. And, President Obama got himself into the box with Syria. He'd probably already lost the Syrian round when he said, red line, with no intention of carrying it out and no idea how he would, and no public support for any kind of military action against Syria. But the fact that he got the lifeline that he grabbed from the Russians means that the lifeline has come at a price, and the price is really high. Here's how one way it could unfold, for example. The Syrians will drag on. This whole thing will sort of take on a life of its own. It's not going to happen in a week. It's going to happen maybe over the course of a year. And the country that's going to decide whether it happens or not is Russia.
Yeah.
Now, what is Russia going to extract for the price? So for a whole year, they're stringing us along. Every time they want something, we've kind of got to go along with it, or these talks might collapse, and then President Obama would be back in the box of having to strike Syria, which no Americans want, and no military people think has a chance of success.
Just to stay on this for a quick second, Katie McFarland, really, Russia holds the cards here, as everybody has been saying, and Syria is now turning over information to Russia about their chemical weapons. Ronald Reagan always said, trust and verify. Do we have any way of verifying any of this?
No.
So
they say, Kerry said verify and verify, but, no. Russia's
we have to take Russia's word for it at this point.
Russia will say we certify this.
Yeah.
And what has Russia gotten out of it, even now, just so far? Assad gets to stay in power. What does that mean to the rebels? You got nothing left to lose. So when any of those inspectors come, or the people who want to try to dismantle, you're going to just shoot on them. You're going to fire on them. They fired on the weapons inspectors when there wasn't a deal, when the rebels thought they had a chance. So this is not going to be easy. There is an old Scottish proverb: "There's many a slip betwixt the cup and the lip," and there's an awful lot of things that have to happen for this to succeed, which is why the Russians are going to be in the driver's seat for a long time. What might they ask for in the next year? Okay, Assad stays in power. That's a given. Russia now is integral to any conversations in the Middle East. Middle East countries, potentates, dictators, and elected leaders are going to look and say, who do we trust to keep their word? Look, Putin kept Assad in power against all odds. What did America do with its allies? Toppled them one after another. Mubarak, Morsi, et cetera, et cetera. And then the final thing is the country to watch is Iran. This is all about Iran. This is all about Iran, and can Iran get nuclear weapons? And if Russia starts giving Iran the air defense system, the S-300, it means Iran is pretty much invulnerable to an Israeli attack, or certainly makes any kind of an Israeli attack on Iran's nuclear facilities very, very complicated.
Let me turn, if I could, to the situation at the Navy Yard the other day, because there's a lot of questions about security clearances. There were many, many opportunities for law enforcement to sort of arrest this guy and charge him, so maybe he might not have gotten the security clearance. We know the Navy was alerted just the other day to the fact that he was hearing voices, and they did nothing. The VA had a crack at this guy. They didn't raise the flag. And then we have Edward Snowden. Do we need to look at the way we hand out security clearances?
Yeah, and that's a really good point, because after September 11th, we threw a lot of money at this problem, and we needed to. But as a result, we now have 4 or 5 million people with security clearances, and we don't have enough people in government to vet those guys. So we're contracting all of this stuff out. And if you look at all this, the terrorist, domestic or foreign terrorist incidents that we've had in the last couple of years, they've all been because people fell through the cracks. The Boston bombers, we were warned about them, but they fell through the cracks. The underwear bomber, his father warned us about him, but it turns out we spelled the name wrong, so he fell between the cracks. Manning should have been a red light to everybody that there was going to be a problem there. Snowden, similarly. The Washington shooter, the Navy Yard shooter, similarly. It just seems that every time we have an incident, it's not because we didn't have the information, it's because it all fell through the cracks. Now, the September 11th Commission said the problem, again, wasn't that we weren't collecting the information. It's just that we weren't connecting the dots. And what they recommended was a streamlined group to deal with it. So what did we do? We didn't streamline anything. We created a whole other bureaucracy, which only made the problem worse.
All right, KT McFarland, always a pleasure to have you. And once again, you're speaking tonight down at the Library of Congress on America's role in the world. You'll be with Senator Rand Paul and Rich Lowry from National Review. And, of course, always you can be seen on Fox News, where you serve as a security analyst. Thank you so much.